Hello YouTube, my name is rhianaB and welcome to another review of Survivor Game Changers. So to jump right into the episode, the aftermath of Tribal Council was basically that Ty was a little suspicious that his name was written down last night when it really didn't need to be written down. That made him suspicious, and Brad was worried that now Ty is not going to want to work with him anymore and want to work with somebody else because he doesn't trust him. And also it's the dynamic of the other alliance trying to break up Sierra and Brad, because at this point they've been like really tight. So Cirie wants to break that up and also eliminate the possibility of a new alliance forming. And then we also had a conversation with Sierra and Sarah, who they were talking about the legacy advantage, which Sierra has, and maybe even giving it to Sarah if she gets voted out. And then we go on to the reward challenge, and I love these challenges when they bring in the loved ones because it just melts my heart so much, and I just love those little tender moments on Survivor. Everything in the show, it can be very frantic and very Bad Blood-esque, but I love seeing the moments with their loved ones, and it's just so sweet. I think my favorite ones in this episode were definitely Ty and his boyfriend, partner, however you want to put it. I thought that was just so sweet. The moment with Cirie and her son, because I was expecting her husband, because her husband had come out to see Cirie in Survivor twice already, but seeing her son there was really cool. It was really sweet. And then, of course, I'm not the biggest fan of Brad Culpepper, but I really did think it was so sweet and really cool to see Monica come in as a loved one rather than a player, and I thought that was a really cool little moment. So when we get to the end of the challenge, we had our winners. We had Andrea, Aubrey, and Brad, and they brought in Cirie and Sarah in. And this did not sit well with Michaela because she was getting really pissed off that she didn't get picked to spend time with her mother. And she made it blatantly obvious. I mean, her mom was even telling her at one point to calm down, it's okay. So while everyone else was at the reward, which was an American-style barbecue with their loved ones, everyone else were kind of thinking about forming a new alliance. Mostly it's centered around Michaela and Ty, which very unlikely matchup right there, but maybe them working with Sierra and Troyzan, and the four of them wanting to get out Andrea. So from that point, we move on to the immunity challenge, and Brad wins, which honestly he did need to win because there was going to be a pretty good toss-up of who was going to go home that night. Was it going to be Sierra or was it going to be Brad? But we knew it was not going to be Brad that night. Basically, the Tribal Council chopping block was Sierra and Andrea. So again, at this point, two alliances butting heads, who's going to come out on top first. So you had the new foursome, and then you had the other side, which was Sierra, Andrea, Cirie, all of them. So basically, we kind of had a little thing where Michaela and Ty could make the decision to see who was going to go home. Who would they side with the most? Because they were the tightest as of that moment. And Sarah at this point is also trying to see if she can sway people to get Sierra out, because Sarah knows about Sierra's legacy advantage, which I didn't say in the beginning of the episode, but the legacy advantage is basically a free immunity, or kind of acts like a hidden immunity idol if you are in top 13 or if you're in top 6. And we're starting to go toward the top 6 right now, so could be useful. Since Sarah knows that Sierra has this legacy advantage, she kind of wants Sierra to go home because she knows that she's going to get the legacy advantage once Sierra is gone. So she's talking to Michaela, trying to sway her to get Sierra out, and also trying to place little seeds in people's heads. And of course now you have Sarah's main alliance, who want to already get Sierra out, so not looking well for Sierra this episode. So we go to Tribal Council, and there was this main dynamic of, are you in the we, or are you just me? So me versus we here. And honestly, in a game like this, if you're clever enough, you're gonna make people who are just me's feel like they're in the we, if that makes any sense at all. So basically, you want to make sure people feel comfortable enough or they feel secure enough to believe that they are safe and they may not make a certain move. And if you get them in that sense of security, that definitely leads you up for a blindside, which I don't think really happened in tonight's episode. I think it did show people that there's gonna be some tension as the numbers start to dwindle here. So between Andrea and Sierra, Sierra loses the battle, and she is the latest person to be voted off and the latest member of our jury. And yes, Sierra does give the legacy advantage to Sarah. I do believe that they did make the right choice in sending Sierra home. She was a big threat. She was able to really get into tight alliances and communicate well with people. She wasn't really as much of a challenge threat, but her strategic and social play was really, really well done. And that was one of the main reasons that she did need to go home. Of course, I'd rather she had gone last week instead of this week. But you gotta live with what you get. So previews for next episode, we do see a possible new rivalry between Michaela and Brad, and they use the word blackmail, and I don't know how that's gonna unfold if they use the term blackmailing, but a new rivalry is probably going to ensue. And then we have Cirie making a big decision, and it's probably, I mean, she reacted really heavily toward it, but my perspective is that she's gonna have to choose between maybe her old alliance, her alliance she's been with throughout most of the merge time of the show, and then maybe a new alliance that could give her better opportunity. So we have that conflict there with Cirie. Don't know what she's gonna do. If history repeats itself when it comes to Cirie's past gameplay, Cirie will probably stay with her original alliance. She's never been much of a flip-flopper. She usually does rely on loyalty, and she only gets out people who are a real threat to her, and she usually doesn't pick big threats in her alliances. Well, I mean, I kind of say that, then she was part of the Black Widow Brigade and was with Parvati, so maybe not so much that she doesn't team up with threats, but she is very loyal, and she doesn't normally flip-flop unless she absolutely has to. So if it comes down to her making a big decision between two alliances, I'm gonna guess, since this is a prediction point, I do say that she's probably gonna stay with her old alliance. But again, that's just my prediction on the matter. As far as vote off goes, Andrea's name has still been floating around quite a bit for the past 2 weeks. I think it may be her time next week, unless, again, something happens. Or maybe the rivalry between Michaela and Brad, maybe something will escalate out of that. Cirie's big decision, that may reflect on something as well. I'm still saying Andrea at this point, but again, anything can happen, so we'll just have to wait and see. Alright guys, that is it for today's review. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me comments down below, what did you think of this week's episode? And if you want to see my future videos, or videos I've already done, go ahead and hit subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you can be notified when my videos come out. That's all I have for you guys today. Until the next video, bye!